Have y'all tried the liquid IV?
Yeah.
My wife just got me on liquid IV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I used to do Mio, but I think Mio is probably unhealthy.
Mio's just like
straight up sugar.
Well, it's artificial sugar flavoring. But like liquid IV has true electrolytes in it to help you actually hydrate. But it's really potent.
Yeah.
So like you could do a half of one and that would be plenty.
Okay.
Unless you're like my marathoners or triathletes that need to like really load up.
Oh, so you actually coach? Mm-hmm. So let's introduce yourself. So you're Lisa, and the name of your business, and where is it located?
Sure. So my name's Lisa Ferrara. I'm the owner and founder of Focused+Fit Nutrition. I'm based in Pearland, but I actually work with clients all over the globe. So most of my clients are in Texas, but I have clients in Switzerland. I have clients in Japan.
Oh, wow.
I have a ballerina in the UK.
What?
It's awesome. Yeah, it's really fun. That's the coolest thing about having a virtual business is you get exposure to all kinds of people.
Wow. And is it just from networking? Because you normally work on, I imagine, runners and things, but you have a ballerina. I mean, how did y'all even link up?
Yeah. So I work with like a range of clients. So we have general pop clients, but then I also really have a specialization in working with people who are, I would say, athletic, like that, maybe have some body composition goals, but are training pretty hard. So that there's always that balance of like, how do I fuel my activity and fuel my performance? And at the same time, maybe lose a little bit of fat or something like that. So I have a bunch of triathletes, runners, ballerinas, some of I do a lot of marketing with like CrossFit gyms and, I'm active in the runner community and the triathlon community myself, because that's what I do for myself. And then, the ballerinas, I actually have a couple, they were just referrals. So, but they're people, I actually grew up dancing. So I at least understand it a little bit. Yeah. And, anyway, so.
Yeah, so much
everybody eats. So
so your companies, do you help people like with training regimens and nutrition, or?
We really don't. We really just do the nutrition. And so, if somebody comes to me and says like, hey, I'm trying to get started, or I have a client right now who's been doing a lot of Pilates and she's like, okay, but I'm really ready to lift weights. Where do I start? Well, I'm not going to be her trainer, but I do have like a curated list of like referral sources, either trainers or programs or, books. So I know how to help people get started, or if they want to do triathlons, like I have a repository of coaches that I recommend, just depending on where people are. But I really feel like that nutrition is a discipline in and of itself. And you'll find a lot of trainers that will give nutrition advice, but it's usually very like templatized. It's what works for them. It's not personalized. And so I just try to stay focused on, the nutrition piece and having a good team for whatever training modalities people want to do.
So you use other experts, but do you have another core team that's over in Pearland with you?
So I have a team of coaches that work with me, and by coaches, they're nutritionists that work with my entire client portfolio. Because our business is really virtual, I have coaches in the League City, Clear Lake area, and then I also have a coach over in Michigan. So, and then we just work with our clients wherever they are.
Yeah. I imagine training athletes, people that are active or competing is pretty easy-ish. But do you also coach like just everyday people with nutrition?
Easy for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's interesting. This is like that, like take an Olympian, for example, right? They're genetic phenomenons in whatever sport they're in. Right. And they have elite muscle fibers and like all that stuff. That doesn't mean they know anything about eating right.
Right.
Right. It means that like their bodies naturally perform at a higher level. You give them good food and all of a sudden they reach an even higher level. So like I've worked with a lot of people who like just start running out their front door. Like, right? I mean, they have no plan. They don't know anything. By running and being active, they see health improvements. But then also it's like, it doesn't mean they ever really learned how to like properly eat protein and fiber and how to hydrate for their sport and like all that stuff. So like, and I actually find athletes are challenging, right? Because they spend a lot of time and energy into like how I put my sport together and then and how I put my training plan together. And then I'm coming in and I'm like, okay, but we need you to do more, you know? Whereas like, but like you work with somebody who's, you know, more of a general population person, somebody who's just like needing to get healthier, and their eating habits might actually be very similar. They just have not been moving as much. The great thing is though, is when you start improving how people eat, they typically have more energy, therefore they start moving more.
Yeah.
And that's what's really fun, is like seeing people go from being rather sedentary and then all of a sudden they're like, so I've been thinking about a 5K, you know, so which is fun. And then we're like, okay, we can help you get started with that.
We've noticed that and talked about that before on the show. It's like when you start eating better, you want to improve every aspect of your life, including like when we were running, we did that a lot too. Or you want to work out more or whatever. And then you want to talk to your wife better, and like just like everything, you know, you improved upon. It's crazy how that can do that. We always talk about like the vagus nerve too, like the communication between your stomach and your brain. It's like there's a lot more to it than I think people think.
Right. Well, and I think you bring up like an interesting phenomenon too, right? That people who are eating better, usually their mental health starts improving, you know? And I think that right now, I mean, we're in a period where mental health issues are like at an epidemic level. And, you know, and we tend to think of like, how are we dealing with these crises, or how are we dealing with, you know, anxiety, stress management, trauma, all of these things. Eating right isn't going to fix that, but it will make it so that you're processing better, you know? And, anyway, especially for some of the more chronic, like anxiety type issues and stuff like that, eating better helps your brain function better. It helps your brain chemistry be better, like all of those things, because of how your brain and your gut is connected.
Mm-hmm. Mike and I mean, we probably sound like a broken record by now, but we're obsessed with the fitness world and eating good. He does mostly vegan stuff. I try to do carnivore-ish, low carbish. And I notice, cause I suffer with anxiety, and I notice that if I go off the reservation and I eat, you know, a bunch of Whataburger and stuff like that, my anxiety gets a lot worse. And then I stop. Well, I don't need to run today. I'll run tomorrow. And I'll take this a couple of days off and I'll get back to it. But you just kind of veer off the roadway a little bit. Like it's amazing how much diet impacts everything else in your life.
Yeah.
There's like I've heard people there's like a second brain in your stomach almost. What is that? Is that vagus nerve that you're talking about?
Yeah. And like also like, if talking about like moods and how you feel, like the serotonin is a big chemical or hormone that's responsible for your mood and how you're functioning. Most of your serotonin is actually made in your gut. So it's a chemical that affects your brain and how your brain's functioning, but most of it in your body is made in your gut.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and like if you think about like your gut microbiome, which is like all the bacteria that we are carrying in our guts, how your microbiome is functioning affects what chemicals and hormones are circulating in your body. So anyway, and that can get very out of balance, and has a lot to do with how you feel.
Do you use a lot of like probiotics in your training plans, like to get that biome back to homeostasis?
Yeah. So for all of y'all mentioned two very like distinct styles of eating. For all of our clients, regardless of where they're coming from and starting from, you know, our goal is to get them to as much of a whole foods diet as possible, right? Like, I mean, like we're coming up on Thanksgiving and the holidays. Nobody's going to be 100%. I don't ever expect anybody to be 100%, but you know, can we get you to like 85, 90%, you know? And when you're on a whole foods diet, you eat a ton more fiber and like things like that. So that naturally feeds the gut biome and gets it to a healthier place. But for sure, a lot of our clients, we're either encouraging them to eat probiotic rich foods like sauerkraut, yogurt, kombucha, all of those things, but not everybody will.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're like, or they might be in a condition where it's like, no, we really need to improve your gut biome. And then we'll start encouraging them to eat probiotics. I try to be real cognizant when I start working with a client of like how much I'm trying to push them to do at one time and at what pace we're trying to move. So usually we try to just do like a few simple interventions first, let those build and help them like automatically start feeling better. And then we start adding on from there. But like, I want to take a food first approach and never want to just say like, okay, now go take these pills, right? Because like the pills, like they're supplements, right? Like that's like the last 5%. That's not going to form the foundation of how you feel.
Is there a way to like test your gut biome? Is there anything to measure? Like, how do I know if mine's good or not?
That's a good question.
That's a good question. I was going to ask that question.
Were you? Hey,
Yeah.
found it. All right, let's end it.
So there are a lot of gut biome tests on the market.
Yeah.
The reality is they're not testing exactly your gut biome, right? Like there's stool samples and like all that stuff. And that's like way down the chain. So like you can infer some stuff on that. Jury's still really far out on how viable that information is. So, but like it's a general rule, if you're eating a low fiber diet, which is most Americans, your gut biome is trashed. And if you're eating a lot of processed foods, your gut biome is trashed. Like we can know that without doing a test, and we can start making it better by getting to a more whole foods approach. And I think the other thing is like our guts take time to heal, right? Like they're like minimum 3 to 4 months. Anytime you start something new, it takes a long time for that bacteria to change over. It takes a long time to heal, leaky gut, which is when your gut is just shredded and things are getting through your gut lining that are not supposed to, which causes like inflammation. It causes autoimmune conditions. Like, that is something that you're physically healing part of your body. And like, that is not an overnight process.
That's a long time.
Yeah. It's hard.
No one wants to wait that. They want the quick, the quick fix.
Yeah. But like, you'll feel better sooner than that. Like, right. Like if somebody's having like, most people don't come to me because they're like, I have a gut biome issue. Like they come to me because they're like, I want to lose weight. I want to like feel fitter. I want to stop having like 3:00 afternoon crashes. Like I want to sleep better. We can improve all of that like in weeks, right? Like that stuff and like I could improve how somebody's feeling like, at 3:00 in the afternoon, like tomorrow, right?
Jeez.
So you just have, but it has to do with like what they're eating in the day, how they're starting their morning, all that stuff. And then the gut healing comes with time.
So, where did you start doing all this? Where did you get all this knowledge from?
Yeah.
And it sounds like a lot of it come from experience because you do the things you train for. But what got you into this kind of stuff? Yeah,
it definitely had started as a personal passion. I'm somebody who has a sensitive stomach. So it started out with me, trying to do endurance races and realizing that, I was doing a half Ironman and bonking by the end of it or nauseous because I couldn't get my fueling dialed in. And the standard, like 60 to 90 grams of carbs and take these gels and drink Gatorade was like terrible for me. So, anyway, so I spent a lot of time in research just trying to figure out that. And a lot of that was because when I started this, that was like in 2006, all of the sports nutrition research was being done on men, right? And what works on a 175-pound guy is very different from what works on a 125-pound woman, right? And like our sensitivities are different, our physiological size is different, like for fructose sensitivity is different. Like it's just like it's layers on layers on layers. Anyway, so that was one part of it. And then after that, you know, I have twin daughters. I had them. Yeah. I
have twins.
Twins?
Well, boy and girl.
Boy and girl?
Yeah.
Awesome. How old are they?
They just turned, well, they'll turn 3 in March.
Oh man, you're in the thick of it.
Yeah. Help me, please. Help. We'll talk later after this.
Okay.
How'd you survive?
We'll do a separate podcast on that.
Did you train and do all this while raising them?
Well, some. I was funny. It's a whole different story. I was training for an Ironman when I got pregnant.
Oh wow!
I volunteered. I did not actually do the race. Anyway, so after I had them was when I got into CrossFit, because all of a sudden I was like, I don't have time. My husband's like, do not go on a long bike ride. Like you've got to be here.
Yeah.
But I did start. I mean, I got back to running pretty quickly and kept up the running and CrossFit. That was just all I can manage. And then I got back into longer course triathlons probably when they were about 8.
Yeah. That's what people tell me. We'll pass people in the store and they look at you and they're like, I have twins. The next 5 years are rough, but it's going to get better.
Yeah. Well, mine are
Hold your hand.
It's okay, honey.
I have to tell you, mine are 13 and I'm terrified.
Oh gosh.
So I don't know when this
Are they girls?
girls.
Oh, well, that's
That's
a
tough.
double whammy.
Yeah. Anyway, so back to them. So first it was all about like sports nutrition. Then all of a sudden, like, I mean, I gained 75 pounds while I was pregnant. That was the goal, right? I had healthy, full term.
You had a goal weight?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, well, with twins, well, also like your theme here, I was super into the nutrition, like, cause like when you're pregnant with twins, you're like, what the hell am I doing? And what can I control?
Right.
There's so much you can't control. But one of the biggest predictors of baby weight when they're newborns is how much weight the mother gains in her first 2 trimesters of pregnancy. So I was like, okay, I can eat. So, you know, I had a very complicated pregnancy, but I was on target with my weight and everything. And I had a 5'10" and a 5'15" baby girls born at 38 weeks.
Wow.
So, and then, so there was that piece of it, but then I had weight to lose, and I also wanted to figure out how to feed them and feed the family. And I went back to work full time. And, so I was focused on their nutrition. And then, so I started, my first career was in communications and marketing. And then when I was in my late 30s, I was traveling a ton. I wanted to be home more, and I had to reevaluate, like, where am I going? What am I doing? And at the time, a friend was like opening up a spinning gym, and we were looking at like maybe investing in it. My husband's like, well, would you want it? And I was like, no, like if we're going to spend money in health and science, like this is what I would do. And then anyway, and he was like, so write a business plan. Like, do the competitive market. What education do you need? What certifications do you need? Like, what can you do? So that's what I did.
That's badass.
Yeah. So, I mean, it took some time. It took a couple years to get like all the pieces together and to get the training I needed and everything. But, yeah.
But you've always been interested in the health lifestyle, so it's a bit like Mike said, just comes naturally to you.
Yeah, so it was like that's when like my official education started, but I'd been trying to figure this shit out for years.
Is it how are all these diets these days impacting your business? Like how, you know, when someone comes in and is like, you know, I'm on the keto diet, or I do carnivore, how do you get them away for that and try to concentrate on the whole food approach, or what do you, well, first off, what do you even think about those diets? Are they trash, or because some of it helps, right?
So it depends, right? Like some things are better than others. Like I'll use veganism as an example.
It sucks. That's
well, no, I'm not gonna pick on you. But I'll just use this. I'll just use it as an example.
I hate
you. No, like sometimes people are like, "Oh, I went vegan. I feel great." Like all this, and they feel awesome. And then, but it's like, do you feel great because you're a vegan, or do you feel great because when you became a vegan, you ditched so much crap, right? And so I'm like, you can ditch the crap without having to be a full vegan, and also like, and for vegans, like my rule is like, we can totally do that. I can help you do it. You must have regular blood work. We need to make sure we're not creating, significant nutritional deficiencies that are going to create issues that won't show up in the first 6 months, but they will show up in the first 12 months, so like there's those kinds of interventions that you do to check things. But most of the people don't call me or come to us if it's working. Right? Yeah. If people are happy and they feel good and they feel like they have a plan, they're not going to hire me. Right? They come to me when they know, they're like, this is what I've been doing. It's what I know. But I also know this is not a long-term plan for me. And this is not something I can do forever. So, so what we're trying to do is teach people, how to address their health issues. I look at weight, excess body weight, as like a symptom of lifestyle issues, right? It's a symptom of problems. So like, how are we fixing those real root problems? And then the body composition part follows usually. But teach you how to fix those problems, and then you know how to live. Yeah. Right. So
she probably used Mike Patterson.
Oh yeah, I know Mike. Mike, yeah,
we met him not too long ago. We had him on the podcast.
Yeah.
I thought we had mentioned you to him, and y'all worked together. But he's
a great guy.
He does some good stuff over there as well.
Yeah,
he's a hottie, isn't he? An older guy, man. He's in shape.
A nice tan.
Yeah.
What better to go to you because you're doing triathlon, you're in it already, and so it's very relatable to ask you questions, and you're doing it. When you do those triathletes, what's your worst section?
Oh, on the actual sport? In the swim? For sure.
Right.
I assume it's swim for everybody, but some people ask, and they're like, nah, it's the running. I don't ever think I hear the biking part.
Yeah, like the biking just... The swim is like, it's technically hard, right? Like I learned to swim as an adult. I was not a swim team kid. I was not, like I'm never going to be a super fast swimmer. Like I've been working at it forever. And like, that gives me like 5 seconds per 100 faster. That's it. I could do more at it, but also it's not the majority of it. So swim's also like psychologically hard for me, right? Because the waves can be crazy. People can kick you. People like swim over you. Like it's just a little bit crazy town. Anyway, so like I don't panic in the water. Like I can get through it. I'm strong enough to get through it and everything, but I don't enjoy it. But the bike is like, it's meditative. It's pretty. It's interesting. You can see the other people around you. It's not like people like sneak up on you and like kick you in the face. And then
I didn't know about that, but when you swim, you're getting kicked or hit. Like everybody's just looking down in the water.
Slapped in the back.
Yeah.
Some people I heard to like get away from it a little bit if they can.
Yeah.
They're going to be slower, but they're going to be away from that. I'd get mad if I got kicked in the head.
Yeah,
I hate getting hit in the head.
There's like a visceral like it's a fight or flight thing. And then anyway, and I don't know, I'm probably strongest at the bike, but I'm a pretty average triathlete that can do all three sports about the same.
Yeah,
that's pretty good though.
Anyway,
do you do the full Ironman every time? Or do you have
I've only done one full.
Okay.
So I did come back and get a full under my belt since I had to ditch the first one I tried.
Oh, that was the first one. Huh?
Well, yeah, it was gonna be my first one. since I just stopped that when I got pregnant. And so my goal, I was 30 at the time. My goal was to get one in before I turned 40. So I did one at 39.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. So I did. So I did a full one. It was fantastic. And anyway, and now I do like halves or anything shorter. So
what do you run your half marathon in?
I'm like a 157-ish.
Yeah,
that's really good.
That's good.
Yeah.
What kind of shoes do you wear?
Well, okay, so I just started wearing the like a
I'm ready.
We're crossing. What are you hoping for?
Minimalist.
No. So I just switched to the carbon plated shoes.
No, don't do it. You're gonna get plantar.
Oh my!
Don't do it.
Oh man!
Don't do it.
Oh, but they're like rocket ships.
I know. I got so fast when I wore them. What, are you wearing Saucony or what?
I'm wearing the Saucony Endorphin Pros.
Dude, the yellow ones, like there's yellow and orange.
Mine are like they're
cooler.
They look like a sunset, like they're black with
okay,
purple and orange. And
I'm not gonna say that's where I got my plantar from, but that's pretty much where I got it.
Well,
from.
I can. So, I've been running I'm about 250 miles into them, and I alternate them with my regular Sauconys.
Oh, okay.
So I have this pair of Saucony like Freedoms.
Okay.
So I alternate them because I can. It's definitely harder on your calves.
Yeah.
And like I have to keep my
it
calves.
keeps you on your toes. Pretty
Yeah,
much, right?
yeah. I have to keep my calves like flushed out and stretched. And
how often do you stretch, like throughout the week and stuff?
That was my next question. What do you just?
I mean, your brain.
I want to know: are you pro stretch? Alongside of this question,
like
pro stretch, like do you stretch at all or no stretch at all?
Oh no, I stretch like every day.
So you're the people that you consult with, you say, hey, you need to stretch.
Yeah. I mean, well, I kind of remind people, like, I'm not programming for them, right? But
you're stretching it.
But I also kind of remind people, like, okay, this is a recovery period. You need to remember to do these things. And are you still taking care of yourself? Are you still getting, like, a massage or, especially if they're in their, taper periods and stuff like that. But
that's always a big question though, pro stretch or not, like with athletes. Like a lot of high level athletes or coaches are against stretching, but
you have to do it right.
Yeah.
Doesn't Lauren Stroud not stretch?
Yeah. We know a girl that's did the you might know, Lauren Stroud.
Mm-mm.
She did the Olympic trials and she's been running all her life and she's never stretched. Yeah. And she doesn't get injured that much
and
at all.
And also,
either.
how old is she?
She's 30 now?
Yeah, she's probably 30.
Maybe 30.
But she's been running her entire life.
So you're blaming on the youth?
No, let's see what she's like at 45.
Uh-oh.
There's a big.
Let me write it down.
I know.
Set a reminder on my phone.
I'm just saying there's a big difference between what you can get away with pre-35 and post.
Really?
So the reason I don't do full Ironmans anymore is I had a really bad disc rupture at 36, and stories just all come out of the woodwork, but all of a sudden, like, I talked to like a million people who all had back injuries and they're like between 35 and 38. And I think it's like the wear and tear builds up, and that's when things like that start to happen. But also like just recovery and self-maintenance and self-care in your 40s to still train, 12 to 18 hours a week. I mean, that's what I do. It's just very different from when I was in my 30s. I didn't care about stretching and foam rolling. And I didn't have monthly chiropractic and massage appointments when I was in my early 30s and 20s. Maybe if I had, I wouldn't have ruptured a disc.
Our chiropractor is full of shit. I hear it like there's no in between, right?
Yeah.
It's either like hey, you need to go do it, and then you hear people say like those guys are a fucking joke. Like,
well, so so an orthopedist once told me like it's a less standardized practice than like physical therapy, right? If you go to physical therapy, there's like very structured, rigorous standard of care that you're going to follow for like a knee injury or something like that. Chiropractors are going to be all over the board. If a chiropractor's doing like musculoskeletal like work on you, that's totally in their wheelhouse. If they're telling you they can cure your cancer, you should run. I mean, that's kind of my general like gut check. I have a chiropractor I love. I trust her. I think she's awesome. She is she knows me as a healthcare professional better than any physician I've been to. Right? She knows all my niggles, everything. And I've learned, like you were talking about preventing plantar, like when my ankle started tweaking a little bit, I was like, hey, Dr. Vargo, this is hurting a little bit. And she's like, this is what's wrong.
Wow.
Can you go, just make sure, like she worked on my calf. She's like, make sure you're staying on top of it and it'll be fine. This isn't like, I can tell from like, there's not a ton of swelling. This isn't an injury like thing, but let's keep it from being a thing.
Right.
And that's what I did. And it's fine.
Yeah. I think stretching is so important. You hear, like David Goggins and he like stretches like a crazy amount. Even Cam Hanes, you know what Cam Hanes is? That he's, he recently got into like mobility work and like stretching and he never did that. But
I was wondering about that. I didn't think he did.
He didn't for
and
the
he
longest
runs
time.
like 26 miles a day.
He's basically doing a marathon a day. But yeah, no, I think you're right. So we try to do it, or I try to do that at least a couple times a week now.
Yeah, and I try to mix in like, like foam rolling, strengthening, like it's all of those things. It's not just one.
Do you do like sauna work or cold baths or anything?
Not if I don't have to.
Not those.
I like that's just a personal comfort thing. Like when I'm, so my back is the reason that I like keep my distances like a little bit shorter. Anyway, but like when I would run like 16 plus miles, that's when I would do like cryo or I would do an ice bath or something like that. And I'm like, funny. If you only run like 8 or 9, I'm fine. So
yeah, I don't need it. I'm cured. That's so funny. Did you end up getting the Iron Man tattoo?
I didn't.
What's going on with that?
I got a diamond necklace instead.
What?
Well, that works.
So good. My husband he met me at the finish line with a M. necklace with a diamond in it.
What a stud muffin.
Yeah, so no tattoo.
So you can do that too, huh?
Yeah.
Most people want the tattoo more than finishing the race.
I know. The only time I really want a tattoo is like if I'm going to go race, right? Like you kind of want the swagger. Like if you show up at a race site and there are triathletes all around you of like look at my M. on my calf or whatever.
Bottom of my eye right here.
Yeah. But like you can, I wear my necklace, like you can get fake tattoos. It's all good.
She goes with a fake tattoo every year. She's like,
a lot though.
She's like in the water worrying. She's like, oh no. Oh no.
She's like those twins that we see, the Island Boy twins, just a bunch of face tattoos. Have you seen those guys?
No.
She laughed like she did.
I know. They're all over TikTok.
Oh really?
They're like these gangster.
Don't waste your time.
Yeah.
I don't do a lot of TikTok.
No. I feel like, and I don't know if it's because I'm in it and I follow a bunch of people on Instagram that are into ultra marathon but I feel like it's like exploding like over the last like 6-7 months.
Yeah.
Is that, do you think it is, or is it just because I follow a bunch of people that everyone's doing it now? Like everyone's getting into ultra marathons. Everyone's more, getting outside and running.
David would be a better person to ask than that. Like I've been in the sport for so long, I can't tell that it's growing. And like races right now are still on the small side. So relative to what they normally are, like New York Marathon was like a week ago, right? They normally have like 50,000 runners. They had 30,000 right now. Oh wow! So and maybe that was by design and on purpose,
like COVID type stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. You're really social distancing 30,000 people.
No,
but so I don't know. And like the half Ironmans I've been around have been a little bit smaller right now too. But like, I know when we were on lockdown, tons of people started running that had never run before, and saw like shoe sales explode and things like that. Yeah. I don't know if that's held on.
Have you ever done the Hawaii half marathon or not half marathon, Ironman?
No.
That's so me and my buddy were going to do our first one and it was going to be, I believe they have a half there.
They do have a half, yeah.
And I was like, man, if I were going to do one,
that's the place
I want to go there.
But it's like the world championship. It says like, that's like saying like, have you been to the Olympics?
Yeah. It's like normal people can't go do it?
No.
Oh, well, why did
you have to get invited or what?
Well, you have to qualify or you have to,
sneak in.
Losers.
I know. I think the Ironman has a program where you can, there's like a legacy program. So you can like if you do, and the rules have just changed recently. I don't know what they are now, but up until like 3 months ago, it was like you do 12 Ironman in 5 years.
Oh, wow.
And you can go
12 Ironman, yeah.
But like,
I guess I wasn't going.
do the math on that. And then, or if you go to an Ironman in place, like in the top like 3 or 4, you could qualify for world championship. And there are some women in Pearland who have qualified.
Damn.
Like, there are some amazing athletes in our community. Yeah. So, anyway, yeah. So,
wow.
But that's not me.
That's not an aspiration of yours?
No.
No.
I mean,
it's still the same distance.
Yeah.
No cryo.
Yeah. No. No, that's to do a full Ironman. Yeah. The half, like anybody could go do.
Whatever.
You could sign up to do the half.
What is the half distance? I don't know what the distance is for swimming and biking. What is it?
It's a 1.2 mile swim, 56 mile bike, and a 13.1 mile
Okay,
run.
so the biking and the running, that's doable.
Swim, man.
The swim, that's a 1.2?
Yeah.
That's a long way to swim.
I can barely swim. It's sad
Yeah.
how much energy is wasted when I swim.
Yeah.
It's just like, I know I'm wasting. I'm like, I don't know.
My husband's attitude about that is like, but it's a good workout if I don't do it right. And I just have to drag myself through the water.
Yeah,
that's good.
He's like, I'm not going to worry about technique. I just had a really good cardio workout.
Yeah. I always give myself the excuse too. I'm like, well, I don't want to go in a chlorinated pool.
Yeah.
And so I start looking up those open water places, and I'm like,
it's too cold.
I don't want to go there either.
Yeah.
I don't want to swim at all.
There's amoeba there. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It might be. Have you trained anybody to do an Ultraman?
An Ultraman or an ultra marathon?
Ultraman.
No.
What the hell is an Ultraman?
It's a double Ironman.
You know Rich Roll, right? The guy that's like infamous for So he's done a bunch of them, and if you look at the numbers of those sections, I don't have them memorized, but you said they're double,
I think
right?
It's basically a double Ironman.
Yeah. So what's double and for the bike? It's like.
So it'd be 224 miles.
God.
Just the bike, and then running.
They do that in a day.
Running's
no,
50.
Running would be what 50,
whatever
53.2. Is that right?
Yeah,
check my math.
Sounds right.
And the swimming's terrifying.
Yeah,
but yeah, so people do that, and I've seen just look like average people finishing. I'm like, well, what?
Yeah.
Damn.
So I volunteered at the Ironman Texas this year, and like I was at the finish line, which was super cool, right? Because you get like all the emotions of people coming across the finish line and people at different phases of their life. But it's like, you know, you don't see a lot of people coming across that finish line that look average.
Yeah.
Right? Like they had to turn themselves inside out just to train to like get there. If they're finishing, you know, they did a lot of hard work.
Heck yeah.
So.
Well, my buddy's brother trains, and just the training regimen's outrageous, because you don't only run one day or bike. Like sometimes it's like, depending on what training plan you follow, sometimes you have to do like, I don't know, 15 miles on the bike, and then, you know, 10 miles running like the same day while still trying to like work and go to school or whatever you're trying to do.
Yeah. Like just for training for halves, like I have an hour swim tomorrow and an hour and a half bike. So
an hour swim. Yeah. What does that even mean?
Well, I mean, you're
just paddling for the
No. I mean, like it's a structured workout in a pool, and like I have like drills and distances and speeds and all that stuff. I haven't even looked at it yet. Because I'll look at it on the side of the pool when I'm stalling about getting in the water.
Do you do that too?
Yeah. Like I'll be like, okay, well, I'm going to write it down. And anyway, but it'll take me an hour to do it all. So.
Wow.
Every time we trained, we did what is that running app we used?
Run Coach.
Run Coach.
Okay.
And so some people would look ahead of time and like see what they have for the week or whatever. When I get home and it's about time to run, I'll look at the app and I'll be surprised.
Oh, really?
Because I'll start making excuses. Like, when I was running, I would finish no matter what. But now that I've ran my marathon, I don't want to do anything. So I will, that 5 miles looks like 2. That 8:30 pace looks like, 10. So it's tough.
If you could only do one thing for the rest, swimming, biking, or running, what would it be?
Run.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But you're the biker.
Well, I like biking, but there's nothing like a runner's high.
It's real. It's a real thing.
Yeah. And like, you get to do all kinds of, like, I just love how running, you can do it anywhere. You know, I talked about doing communications and marketing. Like I traveled a ton in my previous job. And, you know, I remember like one time I was in Germany for work, and like I was basically stuck inside a conference room for 6 days, but I like could run at night. And like I was in Nuremberg and I went out and I was running, and they were like setting up like the Christmas village.
Oh my gosh.
And it was in December. I had no idea that it was one of like the things they do in Europe. And it was one of the ones that's supposed to be like the most beautiful in the whole country. Like, and I just ran upon it.
That's awesome.
And then I got to like run around it while they were setting it up. And then I got to run it the next night when it was like even more set up. And like, you don't see that if you're just lifting weights in a gym or in a pool, or, you know, I can't travel with a bike.
You ran in Germany too. You got lost, right?
I lit up when she said that because I thought she was going to say she got lost too. But
no, I got lost in Paris.
that sounds like a movie.
I got lost in Paris.
That was something like that. Get lost in Paris. I don't know.
Yeah.
But in Germany, like I don't even like wearing the watch, but I like seeing the data, but not now because I'm not good anymore. But I don't want anything. I only want my phone. So all I had was a key card to our hotel, and I ran, and I was like, all right, well, I think I had like 8 miles. So I was going to run 4 and come back 4.
Yeah.
I started hitting turns. I was
like,
no. All right, I remember that fire extinguisher. I was like, the red car, the tree. And then it just got to be where I didn't remember all the things. And then coming back, I just got totally lost. And then I came across some German people. I was like, please speak English.
Yeah.
And they did. And but I showed them the card. I said, do you know where this is? Because it had the address on
You're
it.
50 miles away.
And it was freezing. So all I had was like shorts and a shirt. And I was like, I know I'll heat up. So
I got to keep going.
And I was kind of doing this. I started getting those cold coughs, you know, like when your throat's kind of dry. Yeah. And I was coughing. I was like, man, it wasn't around COVID, but I was coughing like a little too much. And they were like, I was trying not to like scare them away because I needed to know how to get back. But I thought you had the same lost story as me.
No. Well, so it's fun. I've gotten lost on a bike or whatever. My husband's like, how many GPS devices do you have while you're running?
Yes.
And I'm like, shut up. But yeah, I got lost in Paris, and it was, I mean, I was out for a long run. I was doing about 10 miles. It started raining. I was cold. I usually, when I'm running like that, like I usually run with like my phone, a credit card, and
that's smart.
My hotel. Yeah. Cause you don't really know where you're going to end up. Well, at this time I was cold. So I ran into a North Face store and bought like,
you're going shopping.
I bought like a €200 waterproof thing. Cause I was so cold. I was
out of Chanel.
And I was like, I didn't know like how long it was going to take me to get back. I didn't know where I was. And I was just so cold. I wasn't rational. And also I couldn't speak French. So I couldn't really like be like, do you have something else? Like, anyway.
She couldn't like, she still had the urge of shopping. She had like a cooler.
Yeah. She's still running with there's bags on her.
My husband's like, and that's your souvenir. I'm like, yes, it is. I'm fine with that.
Do you, does part of your family think you're crazy for doing running? Like, do they talk crap to you because you run so much, or you eat clean, or?
No, I mean, like my immediate family.
Yeah, friends or family. Yeah.
Not really. I mean, like we have a pretty athletic family. Like my girls did competitive gymnastics. They're not in the gym anymore, but now they're playing soccer and volleyball and basketball, and anyway, so they're super active. And then my husband's into more martial arts and weightlifting, and so he tries really hard to eat clean and stay fit.
That's
also
good.
People give him shit if he's married to me and gains weight. That's happened.
That's some hard pressure right there.
And anyway, so but actually, you know, in my like larger family, you know, my parents have both been clients of mine. So I've helped, between the two of them, I've helped them lose about 70 pounds.
That's awesome.
And like, they're super, and like my dad, when he was 60, had a stroke from uncontrolled high blood pressure. So he's now not on blood pressure medicine. He's super lean. He bikes also.
Wow.
So he's 74 and we're going to go in May on a 5-day biking trip in Oregon. So like really cool. And anyway, my mom's gotten a lot healthier and everything. So most people don't harass me. They just, I mean, I feel like I try to be a positive influence.
That's awesome.
I also try not to like preach a lot. I just try to like live by example.
Yeah.
So.
Did you, how hard was it to retrain your parents' way of thinking, like them growing up with their food pyramid and, you know, and what's right to eat versus what's really right to eat? Was it tough?
Both of them came to me individually and at different points to help them.
Oh, wow.
So, my mom is like, she's a all in, but also like a pleaser. So like she'll do anything I say, you know, and she'll go all in on it. And, you know, and I think for her, not only has she lost weight, but like all of her health markers are amazing. Like, so like when she goes to the doctor or anything like that, they're like, just keep doing what you're doing. Like your A1C is good. Your, you know, inflammation markers are low. Your cholesterol's great. Like she's not on any meds. Like she's great, you know? Anyway, so, and my parents have always like, it wasn't like they came from like a terrible place. Like my mom cooked with me growing up and everything, but it was like helping her kind of find the balance of like, okay, no, like as an older woman, you actually need to eat a ton of protein, which is not, it's counterintuitive. That's not what most women want to do. It's not what their appetite naturally does, but like you become protein insensitive as you get, you know, go through menopause and you get older. And so your body actually needs more dietary protein to signal muscle building and muscle retention, which preserves your metabolism. It also preserves bone density, right? So really important for health. So anyway, so, you know, I would help her make changes, and you know, we did it gradually, like I talked about. And then, and she felt better. She looked better. She's like, okay, you know, and then my dad kind of had been working out with a trainer and in biking. And so he had lost weight on his own, but he hit a plateau and he was like, I think my dad in total lost like 70 pounds.
By himself?
Well, like I helped with the last like 30.
Okay. Right?
He could lose 40 pounds from just generally like eat less, move more, like that kind of general formula. But then all of a sudden he's like, well, now like I've kind of bottomed out. What else can I do? And that's when we had to like start getting more dialed in. And also now like his baseline's different, right? Like he wants to stay leaner than he's ever been.
Oh, wow.
And so from that standpoint, you know, he wants accountability. Like I'm more of an accountability person for him now than I am somebody who's like saying like, eat this, not that. Like he knows how to eat now.
Yeah.
So
it takes a lot for a parent to go to their child and ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool of your parents to,
yeah, my parents are cool.
I'm curious where your dad was at. Your dad was like, you know, thriving, and then he needed help to just go to that next level. What were things that you found that he needed at that level?
A couple things. He needed more protein. He was eating like a good amount of like whole food, but he was still consuming a lot of sodium. And so, and it was through things like, not terrible, but it was like deli meat and stuff like that. So we, you know, but his sodium intake was up around like 4,000 milligrams, and he has a history of high blood pressure. So like you really want to pull that down so it's not as hard on your body and your kidneys and everything. So, you know, helping him find replacements in his food, and then keeping his fiber levels up, because men need about 35 plus grams of fiber a day. So making changes like that, I'm trying, you know, and truthfully, like I started working with him first about like 4 years ago. So it's been a little bit, but those are some of the things that we've worked on more recently, because I'd worked with him at first, and then he was like, okay, I'm good. And then he came back to me to like fine tune things a little bit. Well, I say he came back to me to fine tune things. He had a pretty significant bike accident and recovered and went through all the things to get back from that. But, you know, in that period of inactivity, he put on like 8 to 10 pounds, and he's like, okay, wait, let's reset.
Yeah.
That's awesome. He's so he's passionate about it. And he probably wasn't like that in the early stages of his life, right?
No. I mean, my dad was like, you know, me growing up, like my main memory of my dad is just working or traveling. Oh, wow. And so he was a consultant and a road warrior, and like, so.
What is your favorite, not favorite, but your most effective protein that you would recommend, like from a whole food standpoint?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of controversial, like to say, you know, chicken or beef or whatever, but what like, do you see the best results?
Chicken is like your most bang for your buck. It's your densest protein source, like chicken breast. That's the reason, like, it's like the standard, like, oh, I eat chicken and broccoli, like, because chicken, there's no denser protein than chicken breast. But it's boring and dry. I get it. Anyway, I think people need to eat more fish. Like a lot more fish to get more like omega-3s and things like that.
There's a certain type?
I mean, like salmon, mackerel, you know, but also like smaller fish, like sardines and, you know, all that stuff are like great sources of omega-3s. Anyway, and like sardines are like sustainable, so you can eat those.
Yeah.
Anyway, but I mean, for a lot of people, it's finding what they'll eat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, instead of trying to hold up one uber gold standard, it's like, well, what will you really eat? And usually diversifying those sources makes people the happiest, so they're not just like stuck in a rut.
Do you get folks that want to make the switch and start eating high protein, but want to stay away from like store-bought chicken or store-bought beef and all that? So what's your suggestion to them?
Well, so like, you know, for my family, like, you know, I try to buy like the highest grade protein sources that I can. And like, if you're going to invest in, you know, organic protein is where to spend your money. So, and that might be just starting with pastured, you know, organic eggs, or it might be, you know, trying to move towards more organic meats from the grocery store. Or if you want to do something more like a butcher box, or like I buy all my meat from a rancher in West Texas. Like,
amen to that.
Yeah. So like, and he like, he has a commercial business. He just runs it himself. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, if you need a guy, I have a guy, you know? And so, it kind of try to move people through the spectrum, right? Like, you try to take people where they are. And if meat to them is Chick-fil-A, right? You try to get them to like move to the rotisserie chicken. Like, it's like, you know, and then you can kind of get into, you know, but then when you get people who are pretty dialed in, they're like, well, where's my margins? And I'm like, well, your margins are like the quality of food that you're eating. Yeah. So
you even said that. I mean, when he does like more keto or more meat related, like he'll go to Whataburger and just get the meat patties, and he said he still feel like, you know, crap.
When we were really running before my plantar issue flared up, we were putting in like 40 miles a week, so probably not as much as you, but
no, I don't run that much.
It was still a lot to us.
Yeah.
But there was weeks where the twins were like, you know, a year old or whatever, so it sucked. So we would get, you know, fast food. My wife would get the, you know, regular fast food, and I just did low carb. And those runs, those long runs, a couple of days after, my joints would be hurting. I didn't have enough gas in the tank to finish the run. We started buying meat from my cousin out in West Texas too. Yeah. And it's just a big difference.
It's a big difference. Well, huge. And it's so much leaner.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the thing. I think people, the perception of the standard American diet is that it's high in protein. But like, if your protein source is Whataburger, what you're really doing is eating a ton of fat, you know? And so we eat a lot of processed meats, and processed meats are usually at least 50% fat. And so those that is not actually a good source of protein, and you're still not actually meeting the protein need that your body has. And fat's just hard on your body to digest. Like, it's slow. Yeah. So like if you're a runner and you've got like your stomach's like bleh.
When you get a steak from a cow, it doesn't look anything like a steak that you get in a grocery store.
I know.
It looks totally different.
Well, the fat's a different color.
Yeah. The meat itself is just
dye it, don't they?
At the store, yeah, I've heard they dye it at the store too.
And that one makes it
I don't know. But like a grass-fed, pastured cow, the fat is like clearer and it's more yellow and it's less like white and opaque. It's like totally different.
Yeah. Whenever I was hardcore keto, this is kind of what got me off of keto a little bit. On the long runs, like anything longer than 10 miles, 10, 12 miles, because we would run fasted pretty much all the time, but I couldn't run anything like over 10 to 12 miles. So I had to start eating like the Kodiak pancakes. And then I was like, well, if I have to eat this before a run, my body's telling me that I probably need to eat more of these carbs, like a little bit more. So I started introducing like potatoes and stuff like that because I was so anti-carb. You know, the keto lifestyle is just like I'm use cheese to make a taco instead of just using like, you know, wheat or flour. Yeah. So
potatoes. And with a lot of my athletes too, it's helping them think more broadly about what carb sources are, right? So like, because you can get all the carbs you need from like white potatoes, sweet potatoes, you know, fruit. Like you don't even have to have grains. But if you want to add grains, you could also add like whole oats or brown rice or quinoa. Like you never have to go the route of like doing wheat. Yeah. If you don't want to, or if it bothers you or anything like that.
A banana freaking has like 32 grams of carbs or something like that. Something crazy. Just one freaking banana.
Yeah, bananas have a lot. Yeah. I did that. I did this thing where I did fruit, only fruit.
Yeah. Fruitarian.
How do you know that?
That's just what it's called.
She's in the life.
Nobody knows that. I was weird for a long time.
Who are you?
Who sent you?
It's like she knows something.
Yeah. Something's not adding up. I did fruit for like several months, and we ended up doing our marathon, and I need to figure out a way to carb up. Yeah. So I ate, man, I'm not even lying.
Dates and bananas.
I think I ate 12 bananas.
Oh my God.
And like a 1.5, you know, those the things of dates, like I ate probably 1.5 of those containers, and I was just like miserable as I was eating them, because when you eat whole foods, man, when you're full, you're full. Yeah. Like there's not that potato chip feeling where you're like keep eating.
You're like a you know.
But I woke up that morning and I was amped. And we ended up running. I almost met my goal, but it was interesting. Lots of water too, but those are the two that had the most carbs. Like
bananas and dates.
Yeah. And really best tasting too. I know those dates are really good. Those are dangerous.
I didn't realize they were so good.
Oh my gosh, there's so much sugar in them. But yeah, I have an ultra marathoner who is very focused on whole foods, and so he doesn't want to do any of the like runner fuel, and so he carries dates with him, and that's all he uses dates and like for the bulk of what he's eating on his long runs.
Oh, is he against like Tailwind too and all that stuff?
I actually have him on Scratch.
I haven't heard of that.
Scratch is great. It's like it's lower sugar than Tailwind. It has kind of an optimal balance of like just simple sugars and potassium and magnesium and sodium. And it's not quite as concentrated as like Tailwind and stuff, so it's a little bit easier to absorb. So he's on Scratch, but like we've talked about like chews or gels or something like that, and he's really stayed on the food, the like more whole food. So anyway,
I hate gels and goos. Every time we run, we're in some quite a bit more halves than fulls, and man, just pumping that into it, like and then like
it messes up your stomach, I think.
Yeah, like so what happens with gels is that you know how most of them, the instructions are to take them with like 8 to 12 ounces of water, which like nobody does, right? No. And then they're like, why does my stomach feel like I have a rock in it? And it's like because it's sitting in your gut and your body's like, I don't know what to do with a sugar bomb. And then it actually pulls, instead of like pushing the carb out into your bloodstream, what it does is your gut has to actually absorb water and like pull water from your bloodstream in to digest the sugar bomb. And then like your muscles, what you're trying to fuel is they're actually like, you're accelerating their dehydration. So like they're kind of terrible. And that's the reason they don't work for a ton of people. And they also like, they need water. Most of them, when mixed with like an electrolyte drink, makes it worse. And so
that sucks, because that's how most people take them.
I know. Anyway, so like, but it makes me look like a genius when I can help people fix it. And anyway, and so like that's the problem with it. So you have to like be very careful about how you use them. And most people just, they're not reading the fine print. They don't know how to put all the details together. So there's a way to do them if you want to do that. I've also found there are some new gel products out on the market that are working better. So like the Mortons that have come out, they break down a little bit thinner in your gut, or they have a different texture and everything. Those are working for a lot of my athletes who haven't been able to tolerate normal gels, including myself. Like I can do those.
Called Morton's?
Morton, yeah.
With an M?
Yeah, MAURTEN. But
check them out.
Yeah, they're good. They're good. So
I just could never stomach them, but they'll make me feel a little nauseous too.
Yeah.
We did 31 miles. We have like a little picture up here. We ran from here to the Bradsport College.
Oh, nice.
We had to run like a highway run. It was like we probably shouldn't have done it. Like we were running on like thin shoulders, man, trying to get there.
Sketchy as shit.
But when you run more than like a marathon, you really have to, or even a marathon, you really have to like play doctor a little bit. Like, how's my body feeling? What do I need?
Yeah.
Because I've done a few, and he did that one with me. But one thing I always realize I need is salt.
Yeah.
Like, geez, I need a lot of salt. I'll start like cramping up, and I'll take a salt tablet. Or one time I was like, it's kind of like the Snicker commercials. We were up at Big Bend, and we were like on mile 20, and I was just like complaining and just like no energy. And he's like, why don't you eat one of those bars? And I was like, I don't feel like chewing it. Like, it's like, it's so dense.
Like a little kid, man.
Yeah. And I ate it, and I was like, and like, you know, maybe 20 minutes later, I was like, oh my gosh, that's what I was missing. And, you know, like, but the salt, man, like, what's up with that?
Well, I mean, most people, when they think they need food, they actually need hydration and salt. Like, that's like the first line of defense. But yeah, I mean, like, especially here, like even in drier climates too, right? Like, you just so much pours out of your body that you have to stay ahead of. It's really hard to play catch up.
Yeah.
With it.
That's interesting.
Is there a brand of like protein powder or like a supplement line that if people want to add into it that you would that's your go-to, you recommend?
Like for like post-workout, or? Well,
just in general. Like if someone wants to take like a whey protein, add it instead of a breakfast, you know, they want to take a shake. Yeah.
Yeah. So for, I have a couple, the biggest thing I always look for is like grass-fed whey. For all the reasons we were just talking about with like,
it's on a whole nother level. I never thought about that.
Yeah. So that's
blew my mind.
That's a thing. Locally here in Texas, Bluebonnet is a company that's like not that far from here. They make grass-fed whey. They've done it for years. Anyway, so they're a great staple that I recommend. You can get it at like HEB or Sprouts.
It's a local company?
Which is also cool.
Bluebonnet.
Bluebonnet.
I know you got excited. She thought she said Bluebell, but Bluebonnet.
No, I mean, a little
still
bit.
Kind of milk. Want to get some after?
So, Jarrow's another one that's really widely available. For vegan proteins, Legion Athletics makes one that's called Plant Plus. That's really good and tastes decent. And then, but that's online only. Another one that's like more widely available would be Garden of Life Sport, like plant. I think it's Vegan Sport or Plant Sport or something like that.
Is that? I think I see. Is that at Sprout? That store Sprout? Yeah.
Yeah. So that one's like more commercially widely available. So.
Yeah. What about other like supplement vitamins and stuff? Is that something you do in the beginning, or you kind of wait until they're further along in the process?
It's something that I've kind of evolved. Like I used to kind of just like wait, and now I've gotten a little bit more assertive when I see gaps with people, especially like during the COVID era. Like, I mean, it was pretty clear that like most people are deficient in fish oil. Most people are deficient in vitamin D. So like, let's just fix that.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of evidence that both of those are really important for like immune health, neurological health. I'm kind of blending them, but they're both critical for immune health, right? So like during COVID, it was like, let's just try to close these gaps. But like, let's keep doing it.
I didn't realize that vitamin D was so like helpful for your mood, like overall, like just,
in your energy.
Yeah.
And it's also important for like bone health, preventing stress fractures and things like that. So, and then for a lot of athletes too, magnesium is something that a lot of people are deficient in, and it can really, same thing, like helps you relax, it helps you sleep better, it helps you recover better, it helps your metabolism run better. So those are kind of the big three.
Have you used Trace?
No.
It's like I forget. I think that's the name of the company, but it's they make a bunch of like trace elements.
Oh, okay.
So they one of them is magnesium though.
Oh, okay.
So I'm a big fan.
Yeah. Noted.
He had some Twitch and stuff, and he had one of these like salt dropper like things. And the dude finished the bottle like in the night. He was trying to get this. he's trying to figure this thing out.
The lady was like, you could use this.
Yeah.
Take a couple of drops. It'll last you a few weeks. It was gone in like a day and a half.
Really?
He had like we call it like a Jimmy muscle, where it's like twitching.
No, I was back to my anxiety.
Okay.
His cousin was diagnosed with ALS.
Okay.
And we actually talked to him on the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
And like 2 weeks later, I started getting like twitches in my shoulder.
Oh, so you're really stressed about it.
Yeah, it was like when I wasn't running and I wasn't like active. My brain was all kind of messed up. So that was one of them. We went to this like health vitamin store and got a magnesium drop. I took pills and droppers and put it in my cereal.
John's their best customer.
Still go back every day.
You're going through these quick. What do you? I know we're talking about a lot of stuff. What do you think about caffeine?
Love it.
Because I know you talked about sleeping.
Yeah.
And I know that affects that, and I think it affects your magnesium too, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
kind of
Depletes everything.
Yeah. I mean, caffeine's like, it's a true performance booster, right? For most people, like there's no harm in a little bit. It's when you have to worry about the time of day. So like cup of coffee in the morning, totally fine. Cup of coffee before you go run in the morning, totally fine. If it's after 12, you shouldn't really be consuming caffeine anymore. If you're having like 3 cups to get through your day, it's ruining your sleep. I promise you.
Yeah.
So even if you think you're going to sleep, your sleep is not as high quality as it should be. So, and not all caffeine drinks are equal, right? Like a cup of Starbucks has like way more caffeine in it than like the coffee you'd brew at home.
Yeah.
So,
I thought she was going to talk about grass-fed beans now.
yeah.
Damn it. It got me again.
Yeah. So it's all about like timing and loading. So.
That's another reason. So now I drink decaf too.
You do?
Well, yeah. 'Cause me and Mike, we drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah. It's like more of a ritual than like
it is. It's to me, coffee's kind of my love language.
I thought you drank coffee still because you
look like a coffee drinker.
I like it.
Like, well, I tend to have like a cup of caffeinated coffee to start my day, and then I drink decaf the rest of the day.
Do you really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
We're the
I
same.
think anybody but John drank decaf.
No, the trick is you have to buy good decaf.
So give me the deets. Where do you get it at?
So
you got this grass fed?
This was during the pandemic when I was like trying to support all the like micro roasters.
Yeah.
I started ordering from Misto Box.
Misto Box.
Yeah. So it's like a subscription based service, and they curate like micro roasters from like all over the country, which is kind of cool. And so I found a couple like that I really liked, like Huck and Cartel Coffee. They both have some good decaf.
Okay.
But then also I still subscribe to Misto Box, so they send me others to try.
See, that's the tough part about drinking decaf is no one really has good decaf.
No, you can't get it here.
Yeah, I've found myself like mixing my wife's pumpkin spice, like put a little bit in the Keurig,
In the bad decaf.
Yeah, in the bad, just to make it taste a little better.
Yeah. So those have been, so Huck, Cartel, and then
I'm gonna get some.
Yeah, you can order them online.
I didn't know it'd be such. Because isn't it because it's like diluted? Isn't that why it doesn't taste as good?
No, they like burn the fire out of it.
Yeah.
It's usually like really dark roasted and burned tasting.
Yeah, they're like the leftover beans almost, like the junk beans.
Yeah, and all of these are like Swiss water processed, so they're not like super chemically
Okay, that's good.
processed.
Yeah, I tried to get a cappuccino with decaf and it tastes horrible.
It's ass.
Even if you have all that sugar, it still
Straight
tastes
ass.
bad.
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. There's something they're not telling us.
Yeah.
Well, Lisa, we've had a great time with you.
Thank you.
I know we got off topic a little bit, but this was really fun.
Awesome. I had a good time too.
So how can people reach you, your social media, and all that good stuff?
Sure. So Instagram and Facebook is both at Focused Fit Nutrition. Or you could always email me at lisa@focusedfitnutrition.com.
Awesome. We had a great time.
All right. Thank you so much.
Lisa.
It's good to be here.
All right. Bye.
Bye.